This is a quick video, and I'm going to include in this video something that happened in, I think, Quezon City, or it happened in Manila. And what you're going to observe is that two guys on a motorcycle are going to come past a foreign guy. I don't know which nationality he is. He may be Indian. He may be Indian. That's what he appears to be. But these two guys are going to ride past him on a motorcycle, and I think that they're just snatches. That's how it starts out. It's just snatches. And snatchers are guys that come by. You have a cell phone, you have a wallet, you have a watch, you have something that's open and exposed. They just snatch it and they go. Well, the foreigner turns around and starts scuffling with him. When he starts scuffling with him, Filipinos get mad, turn around, and pull out their fire. Okay, here's the point of this. You got guys they're doing old episodes of Rafi Tufo. And it's usually Rafi Tufo and a foreigner battling, battling with some woman. That's important. That's important. But the translations are usually dubious. Usually dubious. Okay, now, also, what's going on here lately is that you got Mad Matt. He's denigrating Sick Grandpa. Sick Grandpa is going after Calvin. Calvin isn't really going after anybody, not by name. He just surreptitiously, or as they say in the hood, he just attacks you on the cool. Okay, that's Calvin's method. But everyone else, Smoothly, all of these guys, the British guys, all of them. And there's a whole bunch of guys. There's German guys on there. And they generally are not doing what the Americans are doing and what the Canadians are doing. There's Italian guys on there, and they're not talking about the stuff that the Americans are talking about. Generally, they're not. There is one Dutch guy on there. Well, Belgian. There's one Belgian guy on there, and he's in attack mode, and he attacks everybody and critiques everybody. But he's pretty much the exception. He's pretty much the exception. There's French guys on there, and then there's one guy that really everyone should watch, and that's Mexican in the Filipinas. And the reason you should watch Mexican in the Filipinas is because since he speaks Spanish, he has no problem with Cebuano and Tagalog, and obviously Chavacano. He doesn't have any. He doesn't have any language problems. And you're going to see from this video that if you have Spanish, you have Portuguese, you have some French and Italian and all of that sort of stuff, and German, you can pretty much figure out what's going on in Tagalog. And you have to study it. And there's something called Thermonic Tagalog. And it's kind of like this. Eko puede canta. And you're going to use puede as a modal verb. And then you're going to add a verb after it. And then you can use pag. Any word that you want to make into a Tagalog word, just use pag. Pag sabi. But sabi is actually the language. So it's a Spanish word, but sabi is actually to speak in Tagalog. Not to know something as in Spanish. Not conocer, but to know as in Spanish. To know a bit of information, not to have personal knowledge of a person. But in this video, in this content that people are saying that they're making, what is coming down to lately is everybody is trashing the other guy. This guy is bad, that guy is bad, this guy is bad, he did this, and really stupid stuff. I want to address one particular attack that I think is vile and senseless. Now, my best friend, her mother was a, her mother was in a Lungapo. Her mother was in a Lungapo. But that Olongapo also was a certified teacher in the Philippines. And when she got to Olongapo, she didn't just work as a bar girl, she worked as an accountant and a bookkeeper. So if someone went out with a foreigner or something of that sort, then she was the one who dispersed the money. This is how much this is, this is how much that is, and she took care of the finances in the bar. She sent several, she and her daughter who is my friend, her daughter, professor, she's a professor in computer science. She lives in Pittsburgh now, but she's a professor in computer science in the Philippines, taught at the university. Her mother, who was an Olongapo Ho, sent her through the university. She has another daughter, sent her through the university. She's a highly paid professional in the Philippines. Then the woman owned land, much land, and her father was a propietario in Masbate. So he had tierras, he had fincas, he had land. It just so happened that his daughter went to the university, became a teacher, and found out that she could make more money applying her skills, and she wasn't exclusively in sexual service. Like I say, she was actually a bookkeeper in one of the bars in Olongapo. Okay, so here's the bio attack that I want to address. Everyone wants to attack Ace Bachelor Cool and getting a bar girl pregnant. When the gentleman who was in, I think he was in Leti, he was with a woman, and the woman got pregnant. And we thought that it was his baby, Randy. And it turns out that it was not his baby. But we come all the way back around and we find out that Randy either did not want to have children or he could not have children. And so therefore he agreed with the woman that she could have a child. And she had a child with one of the followers. Well, when Randy felt that he needed to make moves and go with another woman, he got all offended and said that it wasn't his child, it wasn't his plan, blah, 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 and actually just drugged the poor lady through the mud. And she was innocent. He agreed that she could have the child. Okay. So now let's go to Ace Bachelor Cool. We all want to say, don't try to make a hoe into a housewife. And nobody said that more than Jim. Jim's Asian Adventures. Don't make a hoe into a housewife. He was with this woman named Kim, who was innocent, sweet, and pure. She couldn't speak English fast enough for him. Didn't matter that he couldn't speak Khmer. It didn't matter that he was sent an instruction book by moi that taught him the linchpin of that language, and that if he had just took 30 days, just 30 days, he would have communicated enough Khmer that he could buy things, he could talk to people, he wouldn't have been a Rhodes Scholar off in Cambodia, but he would have been okay. But he did nothing. And then he sent Kim off riding back to Phnom Penh for 6 hours by herself in a taxi cab. And then he wonders why, if it was my sister or your sister, you would want to do bad things to him. He wonders why. Then he comes all the way back and he finally realizes, wait, I got to get a pretty woman to get into the camera so that I can keep my viewers. And so what he does is he goes and gets a bar girl. So he doesn't even go past the first comment on the video, and already the guys in the comment section are already saying that I know her in the biblical sense. I have carnal knowledge of this woman. Be careful, Jim. But in the meantime, Jim talked bad about Ace Bachelor Cool. He talked about bad about all of us. He said that all of us are just running around the world hoe hunting, 304 hunting. I explained to Jim, I said, Jim, 304s can speak English. 304s are accustomed to dealing with foreigners. 304s are very intelligent women. What they do in the bedroom has nothing to do with what's inside their brain, Jim. Okay, so finally, $85,000 later, Jim finally figures it out, and he goes and gets the bar girl and props her up on camera. But he assures us that he is not sleeping with her. He assures us of this, that he has kept himself pure, even though he has destroyed poor little Kim. So I'm getting to Ace Bachelor Cool. I'm getting to him. Here's the problem. I'm happy that he had a child. It's a beautiful child. Yes, the child is expensive, but the mother was over 30, and the father was well over 55. So it is predictable that there could have been some problems. That's predictable. That's what old age is all about. That's what old age is all about, not just in humans, but in any primate. That's just the way it is. To denigrate this guy and to say that he should not have a child with a bar girl is ridiculous. As I said to Jim, you would denigrate Mary, the Mother of God, if you were standing in the cemetery and watching her son, her resurrected son, roll the gravestone back. You would still denigrate her. So any other woman in the universe has no expectation that you're not just going to trot on her also. Okay. So let's be mindful that we all came through a birth canal. Let's be mindful that our parents probably had us in the worst of circumstances. I know my parents did. I mean, if you I'll say this in Spanish in case somebody in English is listening. Si mi mãe ela somente estava filho de la puta, okay? Feia filho de la puta. Vendeu o corpo, vendeu mente e vendeu hijo se ela pode. Okay, so I just said some real bad stuff about a person that I really love and know, even though she's passed away. But in life, she was hell on wheels. She was hell on wheels. I'm gonna tell you, and she had sex in some really bad circumstances. But I'm telling you, I sure am happy that she did it, because if she hadn't of, I would not be here. Neither would my brothers and sisters. So Ace, thank you for bringing life into the world. And what we're going to see in this video is that there are people who are so careless that they will take a human life for absolutely nothing. And so rather than us spending time talking about the other expat, and we should talk about the other expat because that has comedic appeal and it's funny and sometimes it is serious. But when you see Filipinos gun this guy down and no one is talking about it, largely because they don't understand the baleta. They don't understand what is being said in Tagalog, Cebuano, Masbiteño. They don't understand what's being said. They don't understand what's being said in Khmer. So they are not giving you a full representation of what's going on in Asia. Pardon me. There are some exceptions. The lawyer who everybody wants to drag, who was actually in China, he speaks Chinese. So therefore, I have tremendous respect for he and Chang. I have respect for them. They are actual practitioners. They are practitioners of communication. They know what the hell they're doing. The rest of these people, whatever, they just put their finger in their mouth, and whichever direction the wind blows, that's what's going to come out of their mouth. What's the topic for today? Oh, Elliot Eastman. Somebody killed him. They're not going to ever cover, they're not going to cover the real dangers that you face in the Philippines. And I'm going to say this. A foreigner killed another foreigner in a bar. Calvin went ballistic about it. He went to improve his boxing game, thinking that somebody was going to jump out of the YouTube and chase his ass down and do something to him. Now, that's not going to happen because he's a resident of San Carlos City and they protect their own. So if a stranger comes to San Carlos City messing with Calvin and his family, they're going to be outgunned and outnumbered. He doesn't need a boxing game because he's already in the city. He's a made man in San Carlos City. No one can touch the king. No one can touch the king of San Carlos in San Carlos City. That would be like Calvin coming over here and one of his subscribers. I kick it with one of his subscribers, but one of his subscribers is smart enough to know that in this little burg, I got the connections. He don't have the connections. I have the connections. So I can say thumbs up, or I can say thumbs down right here in this little joint. I don't know everybody, but I know somebody. And that's what counts. Whereas Calvin's subscribers, he don't really know nobody. He can speak a little Spanish, I'm going to give him credit. But he can't speak enough, to keep his iron out of the fire. Okay, so nobody's coming to get anybody. And these two foreigners that shot each other in a bar over whatever they were shooting each other over, that's like a one-off. That's like a 1 in 100,000 chance. It just rarely happens. It happens so rarely that you can't even concern yourself about it. But what happened in this video, where this foreigner gets shot because he resisted and fought back, that happens. But we're not going to deal with that. And the reason we're not going to deal with that is because we don't understand the language. It's not that we're so busy making fun of each other. It's just that because we don't understand the language, we don't cover the real substantial topics. Watch the video. Learn Thermonic Tagalog. All you have to do is use the modal verbs, puede, and then use pag. So you can say puede, pag, estudiar. You don't even have to use the Spanish. You can use English. Puede, pag, study. Puede, pag, call your Lola. That'll get you by. You don't have to be sophisticated. You don't have to be fancy, but you got to start with something, Jim. You just can't put people on a taxi and send them off 6 hours into the darkness because of your inability to learn any language. Okay, so let's pull ourselves together here. Now, and continue with the comedy. Smoothly, you bash everybody you can, and sick grandpa, you stay on us. You stay on us. And I'm going to be honored if one day you call me some type of a low-down, dirty son of a such and such and a such and such.
Kampanteng naglalakad ang 35 anyos na lalaking banyagang ito sa kahabaan ng FC Francisco Street sa Barangay San Roque, Teresa, Rizal, mag-aalas 6 Biyernes ng gabi. Ang hindi niya alam, may sumusunod na pala sa kanyang riding in tandem. Nilampasan siya ng motorsiklo, pero sa isang kuha ng CCTV, kitang bumwelta ang riding in tandem bago tuluyang tumigil sa tapat ng lalaki. Dito napilit hinablot ng angkas ng motor ang kwintas ng foreigner, pero hindi nakuha dahil pumalag ang biktima. Hinabol ng biktima ang dalawang lalaki, pero mabilis pinaharurot ng driver ang motorsiklo. Ilang sandali pa, muling binalikan ng riding in tandem ang banyaga. Hanggang sa barilin siya ng malapitan.
Hindi naging successful yung unang attempt ng suspect and hinabol pa niya. Tinusok pa niya sa payong. And nung napansin niya na binalikan siya, ang ginawa niya, pumurma siya, sinugod din niya.
Habang nakabulagta sa gitna ng kalsada, dali-daling kinuha ng gunman ang kwintas at cellphone ng biktima. Saka tumakas. Nakita mismo ni Robert ang pamamaril.
Paglabas ko, yung foreigner, andyan na sa may poste. Sinabi ako pa siya na, "What's up?" Hindi siya lumingon. Tapos ang sabi niya, come on. Nung lingunin ko, yung lalaki, sinalubong na siya, tapos sabay bunot ng baril. Pinutukan na kagad yung tao.
Kwento niya, hindi agad nakuha ng gunman ang kwintas ng biktima.
Ilang beses pa nabagok yung ulo ng biktima kasi makapal yung alahas eh. Hindi ko naman siya rito kasi may hawak rin siyang baril. Yung ano ko pa rin yung safety ko, yung naalaala ko.
Sa investigasyon, 2 tama ng bala ang tumapos sa buhay ng banyaga.
Sa initial na ng suko, sir, kasi nagpakandak naman ng suko, isa doon sa balikat, dito sa may parang sa braso, tapos kanan, sir. Tapos isa din doon sa may pisngi. Ako doon sa sir, ay 45 talaga. Kaya tumba siya.
Bumuo na ng SITG o Special Investigation Task Group ang Rizal Police Provincial Office para tugisin ang 2 sospek. Patuloy pang biniberipika ng Teresa PNP ang nationality ng banyagang biktima. Nagtungo ang ABS-CBN News Team sa tinutuloyang apartment ng biktima, pero wala ang kanyang asawa doon. Jesse Cruzat, ABS-CBN News.